Namaste, welcome everyone. This is the future of his story. This is episode number 4, and very excited and grateful to be joined by my brother, Matan Steiman Hudis. Today, he is a chiropractor, philosopher, martial artist, and also a death doula. So, if you're watching live, you can join us in the comments. Please share us out, help us with the algorithms. We're live streaming on YouTube and Facebook, and we'll be going out on other platforms. Happy to continue this journey with each and every one of you, and we shall bring our brother here now. So if you have any questions, you can put them in the comments and we can get them to them later. And without further ado, we'll welcome our brother. Welcome, Matan. Thank you for being here, brother.
Welcome, Martin. Thank you very much for receiving me in your podcast and also in your heart.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, receiving you in the heart is quite easy after the experience we had in the EMX, the Sacred Sons EMX. I had the great privilege and pleasure of being part of that process that you were one of the lead facilitators with. So this is why we're here, and it was a really impactful, powerful experience for me. So really happy to share space with you again here.
Yeah, it was a really powerful experience. I think that this work is very needed today. We there is a lot of aspects on masculine. There are just a taboo. Each one of us we are dealing in the way we can, but when we bring men together and we talk with about certain things that need to be spoken, that need to be seen in the light of a community, of a group, then there is a big alchemy, there is a big transformation inside each one of us.
Yes. So this is called the future of his story. So what I would like to begin with, for those that don't know you and don't know your story, is to hear a little bit about your story, because you're a bit of a renaissance man. You're a chiropractor, martial artist, philosopher, Menswork, and death doula. There's so many aspects. So I'd love to, for our audience, for who watches this, who don't know you, to hear a bit about your journey. In any of those fields or all of those fields, just really how you got to this space where you're at now. We'd love to hear that, your journey.
Let's go, we have time. So, well, I can only do the things I do because of my mentors, because of my teachers, because of my senseis, my masters. There's absolutely will be impossible to do any of this without the giants that I stand in their shoulders. So first of all is to be very grateful to all humans, all men, women that taught me things, that pass to me their legacy with their time, awareness, wisdom, knowledge, and so that's the foundation of everything that we want to do, everything we want to become. We need to find a mentor. To do by ourselves, I think it's possible, but it'll take a really long time. Just like learn how to drive. If you have someone that know how to drive by your side, then it's easy. If you don't know, if you have no clue how a car works, so it just pushing, pulling some pedals, and you can uh, learn how to drive, but you might create an accident or even worse. So first of all is to be grateful to my mentors, and I'm a very I'm a mix of different cultures. I born in Israel, but I was there only a few months. I born in a military camp. My mom, she's a doctor. She's a child doctor, but she was there doing a residence, so doing the final years of her education. My godmother, she was a general from the army, and she lost a good friend a few weeks before I born, and that's why I have my name. So Matan means in Hebrew gift or offering,
Mm.
and so that's the story of my name. But a few months later, my mom separated from my dad, and there is a huge peace we could enter there because this influenced my entire life. When I born, my father was in jail, and my mom visiting him in jail, she discovered that he had another woman. So my mom, she was pregnant with 8 months, and she learned this betrayal in her most vulnerable moment, and all her pain passed to me. So this was a big piece of my life. For many years, I understood this as a big curse, because since I could talk to myself, everybody with pain, everybody suffering was coming to me to try to find some kind of release because of this vibration that I carry. Sorry, I'm a bit a cold.
Yeah, no worries.
And so the process to integrate that, to forgive this, to integrate and transcend this beginning of my story, this was fundamental in my own process. So after the divorce, I went to Brazil. I was there until I was 18 in Rio de Janeiro, and yeah, life was beautiful there. So fun, beach, friends, women. I'm very grateful for the childhood and teenage that I had there. And there was another big piece there. One of them was martial arts. So I practice martial arts since I can talk to myself. This was my framework. So how I understood life for many years was a dojo. It was a practice, a constant practice, and also a war, a battle every day. So this understanding of my force against another force or resistance, this framework was present behind my eyes my entire life. This is one piece, and this is a very long conversation as well. Another big piece in Brazil happened. I lost a friend. I was 16. He died by my side, and this created a domino effect. I was 1 year grieving in my home, in my room, just drinking and hearing music, feeling guilt. Why he and not me? And in this depth of my first hell, I could understand a few things. Um, First is the travel of a grief. This grief is the connection of two worlds, the world that I would like to be and the world that it is. And this pathway is the pathway of tears. And there is no shortcut. There is a way, there is a pathway, but there is not a shortcut. And so this entire year that I was in my room, just going to school, go back and drink and hearing music and read poems of Fernando Pessoa, a Portuguese poet. And there was, at the end, one of the poems that just bring me out of that, and was my reconnection with divinity, with God, and to understand things in a completely new perspective. So there is a huge difference between curing and healing. Oh, each one of us, Martin, we are in a different world. We are not in the same earth. We are in a completely different world from each other, because we don't see the things how they are. We see the things how we are, and we project the things. And in each one of us, we have our own cosmovision. We have our own vision of how the things are. And while in this vision there is not a ordeal, nor a trial, nor a challenge, everything is like a garden. And for us, this is the definition of happiness. And we want that this cosmovision stays as a garden. But that's not the plans of life. Life have another plans for us. And something happened. A death, a diagnose, a divorce. something hard happened, and what was a garden now becomes a labyrinth or becomes an escape room. And we look for specialists, and we want someone to take this labyrinth from us, and that's curing. So curing is a passive process. So I lay down in a bed. That's what I do in my chiropractic clinic. I cure a lot of people. I can ease their pain. I can take out part of the labyrinth. And this is important because this make everything much more easy. But that's not healing. Healing is to find the center of this labyrinth and to discover the ladder that brings us to the next floor, to the other level. That's healing. So healing, it's a change on the cosmovision. Healing is now I see everything in a new way. Now the Matan there was, this vision, it's completely different now. I can still maybe see the labyrinth, but I'm not trapped on it. I see everything from above. And that's what happened during this year of grief.
Mm.
Yeah. And just after this, I found the X of my life. There's this philosophy. So philosophy and a specific martial art called Iaido with the Japanese sword was very important for me in this moment. I found all the answers that I was looking for. My mind had so many questions, and through philosophy, I could understand. I could find peace in my mind, and I could decide to offer these pieces that I found, because that's the thing on healing. When we heal, we want to heal. It's always like that. So when we find the next floor and we still see people trapped on the floor that we used to be, we crave for help. And this was very, very important. So I was in Rio, in Brazil. I was thinking what to study. We are in these moments of the 18 that we think that all the decisions that we are doing will be forever. So we'll decide our entire life in this moment. And it was between a few things. So I was between study history. I love history. So I think that when we learn history, we can avoid the same mistakes as the past. Sorry.
Yeah.
You can avoid the mistakes of the past. But I had a few friends that study history, and in Brazil they could not survive. They could not have enough money to live. So I thought on right and law school. So Brazil have a crazy system on education, and the public universities they are the best, but the public schools they're terrible. So only people that study in private school can approve the tests into the public universities. And I don't know what happened. I think the planets were aligned, and I approved for law school. It was 14 people for each place, for each vacancy. And so I approved. I was very, very happy. In my mind, it was very clear. So I will study law, and then I'll become a lawyer, and then I might try to be a judge and will help people with justice, because what this world really needs is justice. And yeah, so I entered, was full of enthusiasm. I was very, very happy. It was, and I had two classes. So the first class was history of law, Roman law, very interesting. And the second was the foundation of law. And enter a man there with a very well hair, with a good suit, with a leather bag, and he was waiting in the room. There was a chaos. It was like 100 people in the class, and he waited until it was silence, and he entered in the classroom, and he looked to everybody. He took a piece of cloth from his pocket, and he opened, and he put a ping pong ball behind the piece of the cloth. And there was a student in one angle, and he asked, "Hey, you student, what is behind my cloth?" And the student could not see and say, cannot see, teacher. Sorry, I don't know. And he asking for another student that could see there was a ping pong ball. And student said, yeah, I can see there's a ping pong ball there. And the conclusion of the teacher, of the professor, was, as you can see, justice doesn't exist. Truth doesn't exist. And the function of the lawyer is not to fight for the truth, neither for the justice, is to fight for the point of view of my client. And I say, professor, sorry, but the truth is the ping pong ball is there. One is able to see and the other cannot see. So the truth is the ball is there. And he looked to me, he slide bent the head, and he told me, I think that you mistake your profession. The place of stupid idealists is in philosophy, not here in law.
Wow.
And yeah, and I told him, if the place of assholes like you is here, that's not my place. And yeah, and I stand up, and this was my entire career of law. And I was away, I was walking. This was 1999, March of 1999, just after Carnival. And I was walking. It was quite rainy, and and I pass in front of the biggest cemetery of Rio. It's San Juan the Baptist. And in the front of the door was written, "Here you can find peace." I said, oh man, what is that? And I entered there, and it was really a big slap in my soul's face. So it's huge, like a city, and there's a tradition there of putting the picture, so you can see a lot of smiles in 2 days, the days of born and days of dying, and just to travel around these streets of lives was like explosion in my awareness, in my consciousness. For my friend that died, I didn't go to his funeral. There was too much blame, too much guilt, and I was walking. There was several hours walking, thinking, all these people, they walk the same streets that I walked. They saw the same piece of sky that I'm seeing now. Now they are there, and one day I'll be there. And what's the difference? So what's the difference between each one of these boxes? And there was a huge explosion in my mind, and I turned a corner and I saw the tomb of my friend, and I kneeled down, and I just had a big catharsis there. Um, yeah, and there was a big understanding that which kind of man I want to become, what I want to see on the last day. So the last day of my life, I look back and what I want to see, and when I look in the mirror, what I want to see. So in that moment, I took the decision to leave Brazil. And my father is German, so since 14 until 18, 6 years, every December I was to go to Germany to visit him, and I went to Germany to work a little bit there. I have a few friends, stay there for a few months. There was another piece that was interesting. Sorry, I'm talking too much. Martin, I'm not,
No,
not.
this is beautiful. This is it. This is the story.
There was another piece that was when I came back home from that day. My mom came back home and say, "Hey son, how was the first day of university? Yeah, please have a seat. We need to talk." And I told her what happened, and I told her that I was feeling this call of the old continent of Europe, and what she was thinking, what was her opinion on that. And she looked to the ground. I remember this as it was today. She looked to the ground. She took a deep breath. She looked at me and said, "Look, son, I raise you for the world, not for myself. If you are happy in China, I'll be happy here." And I remember when she was carrying me to the airport, she told me that that was the second birth. and it was much harder than the first one. And
Oh,
I'm very, very, very grateful for the kind of mother that I have, because love have different faces. So there is one love that is to hug, and there's another kind of love that is to push. And I'm very, very grateful for her. Yeah.
wow. Beautiful.
So yeah, I went to Germany, and I was there for a few months working. Um, any kinds of work. So I was working in a bar, painting houses, and I had enough money, and I left. I was 1 year and a half traveling by myself. I had in that time 6,000 Deutschmark. It was around 3,000 euros, and I passed 1 year and a half with that money. So there was a lot of uh, yeah,
Hitchhiking.
finger in the roads. I went to Norway. I went to Sweden. Then I took a plane to Turkey, to Greece, to Italy, to France. I passed a few months in different places. I passed a few months in Paris and a few months in Liège, in Belgium, and uh, and I stopped in Barcelona because I found what I was looking for.
Mm.
And yeah, and I was looking for what to do in my life. So I was I had my life in my hands, and where should I bet? So it's like a roulette where we have our coins and we need to bet in a place. There are some easy bets, so the red or the black, it's just 50-50, or you can put everything in one number. And that time I reconnect with the school of philosophy that I met in Brazil. And so I was 19, almost 20, almost 20. And I arrive on the 6th of October of 2000 in Barcelona. And I reconnect immediately with the School of Philosophy. And we went to have a class of philosophy on the field. It was a beautiful Greek ruins in the north of Catalonia called Ampurias. It's a beautiful place. It's a place where Greeks used to travel to be healed. It was a sanctuary for healing. And we were there, all young people, and the teacher, the director of the school. And we're having this class, and suddenly start to rain, but not small rain. It was a pouring rain. It was, wow. And the teacher, he didn't move. It was just keep giving the class as the rain didn't exist. And one of the girls of the group opened an umbrella, and he looked at her saying, "What are you doing? You don't see? It's raining. Umbrella, but you have umbrella for everybody." I said, "No." Then close it. And this action touched my heart so deeply that I decided to stay close to him as long as I could. And I was in Barcelona for 15 years, learning philosophy with him, and was one of the best years of my life. Uh, and yeah, so this is another chapter from Barcelona. It's another world. Yeah, and I passed there the entire process, a huge process on work wise, and also on inner wise. So my identity was a big part built in this 15 years of Barcelona.
Mm. And so now at the moment, I think you're in the Balearics, yeah? You're in,
Yeah,
yeah, so not so far away.
chill out. Let's get the story then.
Yeah.
So on work wise, when I arrived in Barcelona, I did many works. I work in selling mm, sandwiches on the beach. This was the first work. And then I started to work in bars as a barman, and then just as a waiter. And then I worked as a bouncer in the discotheque. I used to be strong, so martial arts, a lot of martial arts, and crazy, crazy fights. This was another chapter. And there was a moment that there was a big fight. We were 3 against 5, and I received a hit in my head from the back, and I was blind for a few minutes, and I was I was really afraid of being blind. In that moment, I took the decision to leave this work. So to to give the life, it must be for a good reason, not for free, not for these kind of things. So I left this, and there was I had a good friend in the jiu-jitsu. I used to practice jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and he bought a machine, a serigraphy machine. I don't know how to say this in English. And he bought 1 million lighters and 1 million pens, and he was looking for salesmen. And I was practicing theater in the School of Philosophy. I said, maybe why not? And was very shy that time. And the kind of work was door to door. So you go to a hairdresser, you go to a bar, just selling lighter with the logotype of them in the lighter or in the pen. And it was a great time for me because I understood that I could sell things. So I was very, very grateful. We finished in a bad way because I saw him hitting his girlfriend. We fought, but finish. But I'm very grateful for that moment, for that opportunity, that I understood that I could sell things and entering another pathway on my work. Because on philosophy is not my work. I work as a volunteer. I never gain €1 from that. So this is a completely out of money thing. And yeah, this was a great time for me. I was selling different things in different times, and I entered in like a yellow pages of the neighborhood, and I entered in a gym, a very expensive gym, to sell a page of these yellow pages. And the sales manager said, "Okay, I will not buy from you, but I want to hire you." And this was a great time. So I was very young. I was 20, 24. And I will become a sales manager junior from this gym company. It was beautiful because I was also the responsible to mediate on conflicts, because on salesmen it's very complicated because part of the money is on commissions. And so I saw, no, you did. So I was learning how to mediate between conflicts, and this was a big piece of learning for me. And the company was sold for an investor group, so a lot of us we left. I was hired in another company, and I became a sales manager. This I had a team of 10 people, and then we arrived in the crisis of 2009. In 2009, I had 10 people in my charge. It was a great time for me. It was beautiful. I was 28, and I had to fire half of them. So it used to be 11, and then we become 6, and then I need to fire another 2, so we become 4 with the same target. So what I used to love about sales work was I work a few hours and gain good money and have time, because for me time is gold. So I have time for other things. But now I was working 10 hours a day, and I was really fed up. And I asked life for change, and life brought me a change. So my grandmom, she died in Rio. She left me a small apartment I sold, and I was thinking buying an apartment in Barcelona, but I still don't know why. I had a friend that he was a patient of a chiropractor, and there was a brochure of the University of Chiropractic in Barcelona that was just opening, and he took and he gave it to me, and he told me, I don't know why, but I think that this is for you. And I took the brochure, and it was a university just opening. And I remember when I was 16, I used to surf in Rio. I had a, a shoulder pain, and there was a friend of a friend that was a chiropractor from Australia that was visiting Rio, and he adjusted my neck, and the pain on my shoulder just went away. And I told him, "Man, that's magic." And no, that's chiropractic. And the name was always there. So I was raised by a doctor, my mom, my uncle. So I was used to have visits at 3 o'clock in the morning, to calls 2 o'clock in the morning. My mom was all on taking care of other people. I always felt this call, and and because of him, my education in chiropractic starts, and this was beautiful because the university was just beginning, and there was this vision of restoring the original values of chiropractic. And truly, during these 6 years of school there, for me, it was like Hogwarts. It was like the school of Harry Potter. And there was a lot of masters in different techniques that came to the school to see what we're doing, because we are just, yeah, idealists. We have just dreams, and there was a lot of fails in the beginning of the university, but the vision was very, very clear and was beautiful. This was a big chunk of my life as well, chiropractic. Understanding this is another place that we can open and to enter into, to understand how the power that made the body heals the body, and that's all about. And to relate with this force on a daily basis. And for me, Mondays are party time. I love Mondays. I love what I do. And this was the best decision that I took on work, on job, on financial things. All right, this is another pathway. So I finished university, and this was a very hard moment for me. There was a lot of things going on in a personal level. I had a very bad relationship in that moment. Very, very toxic. Was touching all my shadows. It was just removing my entire soul. Everything that was locked was just opening, and and I started to be very, very, very tired, very, very tired. And this was very strange because I was sleeping like 10 hours a day, being awake for 2 3 hours, and sleeping again another 10 hours. I took the temperature of my body and was almost 35. It was very cold, and it was everything strange. I went to the hospital, and they couldn't find nothing. And I went to Brazil to my mom. I just finished university, and there was this open moment, this open gap. That was exactly when I was ill. And I went to Brazil, and in Brazil they diagnosed me with myocarditis, an infection in my heart. And yeah, this was very, very symbolic because I had a toxic heart in that moment. My heart was infested, was ill, and something happened just before that. I had a patient in my clinic of the university that they have a very special story. So he was a former heroin addict, and the clinic in Barcelona sent him to the Amazon jungle to heal with ayahuasca. And he was there for 2 years. He married with a woman there, and he became a really good friend uh, with uh, with a chief, a leader chief called Benki Pianco. That's the chief of Ashaninka. And so because of that, I was able to go to the Amazon to heal myself. And this is another process. This is another piece. We can open that, but this will be a very, very long conversation.
Mm.
And yeah, this was a completely new Matan. So I was full of rage, full of sorrow, and on the jungle with with the old wine, with the old drink, um, I could I could sustain the eyes where it was hard to see. There was some very very hard moments. I was very close to madness in a moment. Um, and as the alchemy sentence, we say solve et coagula. It means to dissolve and to rebuild. So the jungle for me was a dissolution. And there is also another sentence of Carl Gustav Jung that I love very much. They say that the mystic swims in the same water that the neurotic drowns. And these waters are the waters of the dissolution. So the entire process of ayahuasca for me was the dissolution of the character that I built with this previous years. I was 35 in that moment. And yeah, there's a lot of stories. I was 1 month and a half there. A lot of stories there. And then the last day, the last ceremony, I saw that I needed to leave Barcelona. I saw that if I stay in Barcelona, I will die, and I needed to go to Mallorca. And and I remember I was naked in a lake at night, seeing the stars, arguing with myself. Man, I don't want to leave Barcelona. I love Barcelona. No, I don't want to leave there. But you have to do. You have to go. Otherwise, you'll die. But no, I don't want. And there was one moment where we obey. We obey the guide because it's a mystery. There's the guide, the demon, the daemon, or the angel, or the muse that we all carry that guide us through the different pathways of life. And there was a moment that I accept. Say, okay, I'll go wherever you want. And I went back to Europe and went back to Barcelona. I bought a ticket to come to Mallorca for a week to find an apartment for me and to find a clinic to open my own practice. And exactly one day before I arrived in Mallorca, I received an email from the University of Chiropractic saying that there was an old lady searching for someone to work with her. And I said, man, it's not possible. I call her, man, sorry, tomorrow I'll be there. Let's meet. So she said, yeah, of course, let's meet. And I arrive, we adjust ourselves. That's the way we chiropractic, we know about the other. And we went for dinner. And I was 35, she was 70 in that moment. And she told me, no, I'm not looking for someone to work with me. I want to retire. I want to sell my practice. I said, but I have no money. Sorry. And she gave me like a huge, it was very, very pricey. It was like an apartment. And I don't have money. I'm sorry. And she told me, okay, give me your place of birth, day of birth, and time of birth. And I gave her, we said goodbye. There was another chiropractor that was renting his clinic on the gap hours, and it was a good possibility for me. I found an apartment exactly a few hours before I left Barcelona. So everything was very, very round. And I went back to Barcelona to pack my stuff and to leave. And a few days after, she called me, this chiropractic old lady, and she told me, it must be you. I have no money. And she said, okay, I'll make you another offering. So you'll pay the clinic with the money from the own clinic. Every patient will pay 50 euros, 20 for you, 25 for you, 25 for me. And around 2 or 3 years, you can pay the clinic. Okay, awesome. And so this was when